Right, are you ready? Let's give it a go. Hello all and welcome to Video Games Ahoy, the podcast that attempts to traverse an ocean full of video game hot takes. I'm Jonathan Radford and I'm joined today by Gape.
Hello.
And Zach Hamilton.
Hey.
How are you doing, fellas?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Good, man.
Yeah, I'm really good. This is a new venture for us. I think this is something we've been talking about a long time. I think separately as well. I know I spoke to Dav about this probably about 2 years ago, but it's.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm constantly having conversations where you kind of like subtly go like,
it's like
do a podcast about games.
Yeah, it's like
would you be
but like
interested
I've never been against it, but I don't want to call you out and be like, all right, do the fucking podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, for God's
Didn't
sakes,
do it.
John.
Yes,
Like,
still hasn't done it.
Yeah, exactly. Every day, just like, John, I mean, you've been hinting for so long. Just get on with it. But yeah, here we are.
It's all I've been thinking.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Here we are, finally. Before we start, there's one thing I did want to say. We were supposed to have a fourth member, Dav Weeks, and I just wanted to put a shout out to him because, I mean, he's gone off to work for the NHS. So there's valid reasons why he's not here. He's an absolute trooper. And I just think, I just wanted to say, we love you, Dav. And hopefully we'll see him soon. This is the very first podcast, as you will know. And so to begin with, I thought a great way to start is to see how our relationships with video games were formed. So, Dav, let's go with you first. What was the first game or the first console that got you involved?
Well, I've always thought it was the Super Nintendo, glorious machine.
Yeah.
But my earliest gaming memory, I think, is I was 4 or 5 maybe, and it's me sitting with my dad, and he's playing the Alien trilogy game on PS1.
That's amazing.
And like in my head, it's like, I used to play Mario. No, it's Alien. I like very specifically remember the face huggers jumping up on the screen. And I think I must have had the game first, even though I'd never seen the films. And then I was like, I can't do this. And it's my only memory of my dad ever playing video games, ever. And he would take the controller of me, like, with a silver... I remember the pistol and, like, taking care of the face huggers. And there's this lift, and every time the door opened, there was a face hugger. Having to do that part, like, 20 times. And I don't think we had a mememory card yet. So, like, it was like, every time I wanted to play it, I'd be like, Dad, come over and play it. So, I think Alien Trilogy. And... I don't really remember much about the game. I think there was multiplayer, like online multiplayer or something. I don't know. I can't remember now. But it was by Acclaim, and Alien Trilogy is a game I'd love to play again just to see if it was any good. But I remember it being.
I've never heard of that game.
Yeah,
I'd love to. I'm gonna go and look at some footage of that.
Yeah, because I think the only Alien games that I think of are the new ones. I mean, there's the one that just released on Switch. I think it was last year, but the re-release. Isolation. Yeah.
That always gets kind of positive reviews, but I didn't realize they were making games of it like closer to the time when the films were coming out. Like, I mean, that would have still been long. That would have still been long after.
Yeah.
But like, still.
No, but I was gonna say, Dab, what I love about that as well is very similar to how my brother's going through the very similar situation right now. Both of his sons are playing Animal Crossing, which we'll talk about later, but they're both playing it with him, and it's interesting to see how that is shaping his relationship with them, because today he was telling me that his youngest son was telling him off for cutting down trees. And I just thought that was really adorable that this 5-year-old is already telling him off for cutting down trees. I just thought that was really funny.
Calling the shots.
Yeah, exactly.
You're limiting your resource if you cut down those trees. Tell your brother he needs to get his head out his ass.
I mean, that is the thing. I mean, like, know your island, know your resources.
That's funny. Actually, I remember being a little kid and my dad doesn't play games at all, but I got him to play Mario Kart on the Game Boy Advance. It's like the worst Mario Kart. It's not a good Mario Kart game, but it was all we had, when you were on the road or whatever. And I got my dad to play it, and I remember thinking it was so funny that he was in last place and he was getting lapped, because even I, who wasn't very good at it, and I was like 7 or whatever, wasn't getting lapped. I just remember thinking that was so funny because I thought of him as this he's my dad.
Yeah,
do everything, but he cannot play Mario Kart.
Do you know, it's actually weird. I was home recently and I was looking through all my old boxes. I actually found that game with the Game Boy Advance. I found that and
Wow.
I played it for about 5-10 minutes and I was like, I'll stick to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because it is one of those you play it for the nostalgia trip and then you realize this is amazing, but gaming's moved on so much.
Of course,
it's such a big. But yeah, Zach, what about you? What was like the
man? For me, it was Mega Drive or die. Honestly, we had
a Sega boy.
Yeah, well, so I was. It's just that I don't think we ever bought a console until like maybe like the GameCube or something. Before then, people just kept like giving us old ones, So we got the Mega Drive like after its time. We got the N64 probably a little bit after its time. So there was always basically I can kind of always remember there being a Mega Drive. I think in the N64 we didn't get until a little bit later, but we also kept getting given games and stuff. So we got given Sonic 2 was a big one for me, which is a game I don't really like anymore. I don't really like Sonic games, but it was a 2-player co-op game, which at the time I know people are going to kill me. I'll come back to that one another day, because I don't want to sit and talk
the whole
smack
episode
on Sonic.
of Zach just slamming Sonic.
Probably will.
That's saucy.
But it's obviously it was a co-op game, so me and my sister could play together, and me and my brother could play together. So I would always be Tails and be terrible. And then like Golden Axe and Streets of Rage. I think it was really just fun that we had games that you could play cooperatively, because that wasn't so popular at the time. I mean, nowadays it's more of a given, but even still, a lot of the time it's online and stuff. So I think Sonic, Golden Axe, and Streets of Rage would be the 3 big ones that I would have definitely remembered.
It's not a bad combo.
Yeah, man.
Not bad. I think I was quite lucky in a lot of ways. I was never any good at games when I was a little kid, though. Like I was the kid who would sit and play Ocarina of Time, but not play through the game, just like play on my brother's file where he'd completed the game, and just like muck around with the items and stuff. Like I was an idiot kid.
Same.
Yeah,
me
too.
Yeah. The only game I was any good at was speaking of Mario Kart, not Mario Kart, but on the PS1, Street Racer.
Oh my god! I never played Street Racer.
So good. Like whenever people talk about like best kart games, there's obviously Mario Kart, and you've got Crash Team Racing, Street Racer. Oh my god, so good. And just the sumo.
Was it anything to do with Street Fighter? Wasn't like
no, but I
thought
like
you were about to say like I was gonna have like like just like Hadouken.
Ken just in a car just driving along.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was picturing. I don't know why.
As a kid, I didn't make a connection, but I'm going to check now because now I'm thinking about it. I feel like there was a Blanca and a Chun-Li character.
That would be amazing. This realization that like this so long they've been connected.
So far, Dav has talked about 2 games that I've never heard of, and I'm already like immediately trying to find it.
Sonic.
It's not Street Fighter related. It's it's Ubisoft apparently. But
oh wow,
the characters in it were so good. There was like a Frankenstein character, which is why I was thinking of Blanca, and this sort of like Eastern mysterious guy who instead of a cart had like a magic carpet with wheels underneath.
Oh my goodness, I've played this.
But I don't think it was PS1. No, I think it was Super Nintendo.
I played this on the Mega Drive.
Yeah, I think it got a multi-platform release.
I cannot remember this for the life of me.
I remember the dude with the magic carpet, because the magic carpet is like...
I think his name was Haji or something, but...
Doesn't it have wheels on it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm so definitely remembering this. Yeah.
I'm going to need to see a picture.
It is a cool game.
I'm going to need to see this. This sounds amazing.
So I played, so there is a version on the PlayStation and there's a version on the Super Nintendo. I think I must have played it on the Mega Drive because we never had a Super Nintendo. I didn't play Super Nintendo game.
Yeah,
I have this game. I still have this game in my flat.
So good. It is so
That's
good.
amazing, man.
That's ridiculous. I can't believe I didn't remember it. Yeah, that is a really cool game. See, I didn't play... You're saying you played on the PlayStation?
I think so. PS1, yeah.
So you'd have played like the newer version. I played like the older Mega Drive one, I guess, which I'm sure would have been not as good.
I'm sure it was exactly the same. I doubt they put any.
It might have been exactly the same,
Yeah.
just in different graphics.
Yeah, around that era, they just kind of went,
Wow.
here it is. It's got more colors, and that's kind of really all they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's great though. I mean, like it's really nice to hear stories like that as well. Like to go like, oh man, do you remember this game? And then like someone forgets completely. That happens to me so many times.
I can't believe I forgot that. That was very exciting. A very, very exciting moment for me to have that rush of nostalgia. Oh, I'm going to have a little drink and a sit down.
So, what about you, Johnny?
Well, I had a very similar way into video games as Zach, actually, because I had the Mega Drive, but before that we had the Master System, and I remember it. Oh, yeah, wow. I mean, I'm old. That's the first thing, but I remember it being yeah. I remember it being a big thing in my house because I must have been about 4 or 5 when it came out in the was it the 80s when it came out? Late 80s?
Yeah.
Was it as early as that?
I'm not sure it came out in the...
I mean, you probably...
It might have. Or possibly it came out... Possibly we had it in the early 90s. But I just remember it being a big deal. I remember my parents bought us a TV between me and my 2 older brothers. And we were just blown away. We're like, oh my god, it was Alex the Kid. You played all those games. And then from there we went to a Mega Drive. I think it was probably about 2 or 3 years later. But I was kind of the same as you guys. I was terrible at games. And this is kind of what's leading me into the game console or the game that I genuinely feel like, oh, okay, this is where my passion is coming from. And it's going to be such a boring answer, but it was Super Mario 64 on the N64. It was the first console I ever owned that was mine, and it was the first one I ever completed on my own. And before then, I would always just sit next to my brothers watching them play because obviously they're older, so they would complete it. I go, oh, that was great. That was fun to watch. But I mean, yeah, Super Mario 64. I got a very vivid memory of playing it. And was it Comet? Or, do you remember Comet the store?
Or the shop?
Yeah. Because that was an electronics store, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of like
Curry's. Yeah, I think it was a Comet. It might have been a Curry's, but it was one of that kind of shop, and they set up a Nintendo 64 with Super Mario 64, and I remember going up and seeing it and just being like, my brain was just blown because it was this 3D graphics, and obviously we look back at it now and think those graphics are terrible, but back then it was like, oh my god, this is like the future. I often imagine it's the same way because I speak to my dad about this when he first saw Star Wars in the cinema. It's kind of I'm not sure we'll ever get that moment again in gaming where it's like a huge leap forward. I mean, there'll always be small improvements that always happen. Think, wow, look how crisp, look how clean those graphics are. But I'm not sure if there's ever going to be that moment of 2D to 3D games that just...
I don't know though. See, I think it might just be an age thing, you know. I mean, so much as like, so I actually I treated myself not so long ago to a VR headset.
Oh,
just
nice.
Which one?
And it was very, very cool. It was like a very like, whoa, this is something that's like, I mean, I was so late to the party, you know what I mean? Like it's an old thing now, but for me, it was like, whoa, look at this cool thing that I can do. And I think if I'd been a little kid, that would have been like so special, you know, in the way that, in the same kind of way that like that transition would be. I wonder if, I mean, I totally appreciate what you're saying, because obviously the difference between, you know, for me, certainly going from Sonic 2 to Sonic Adventure, like Sonic those are completely different games.
Yeah.
In terms of the way they look, you just immediately start up and it's like, what is going on? So I do know what you mean, but I mean, I just wonder how kids sort of experience that stuff. You know,
that's true.
If it's different as well, because technology is so prevalent in a way that it wasn't in the same way for us. You know, we didn't have. Nowadays, like all kids play some kind of computer game because you've got iPads and stuff where there's
I feel like kids maybe care less about graphics now than we maybe did, or maybe we didn't care. But like, because you think about biggest games around for kids at the moment is like Minecraft, Fortnite, most battle royales, but like they're not very graphically impressive.
No, it's true.
Even though
you're right.
Xbox did like a ray tracing demo for Minecraft the other day, and it did look like a lot better, but like it was still Minecraft.
But do you think that's because they've been exposed to all kinds of graphics at that age, so it's not so much of a shock when they see something new and flashy? Whereas when we first saw that, we're like almost trying to chase that every time. That's how, if I'm being honest, every time I saw a game with new graphics, like for going from the PlayStation 1 to 2 to 3, every time the step forward, be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Whereas I'm not sure if we are we getting those jumps? Do you feel?
I think it's just to do with marketing, right? Like, when we were kids, all the adverts were like, you remember like the ones between, I think it would have been like Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, and they would like compare how many bits. This one has, and then the Nintendo 64 is called Nintendo 64 because it had 64 bits. So the actual marketing was, we have the most graphics. Yeah. So like that's how they sold their games. Nowadays, games are sold a lot probably through secondary media, through like Let's Plays and podcasts and chat, like more kind of, and people are just talking about games, whether games are good or not. You know what I mean? Like we'll sit here and just say like this game is objectively good. We're not going to talk about whoa.
Like, you know what I mean? And the conversation with the next console generation is mostly about loading times.
That is true.
Processing power.
Yeah,
it's about how powerful these things are, not how good it's going to look. I mean, there is obviously a massive conversation about like ray tracing and 4K, etc., etc. But it seems to be talking about load times because I think that's something that people can understand. Whereas, like the difference graphically between 4K and 1080p, it's hard to explain to anyone without seeing a 1080p screen and a 4K screen. Yeah. And there's also loads of other things like HDR, Ultra HD, everything else you got to put into that. Whereas you go, this game is going to load 10 times quicker on a Xbox Series X than it is on an Xbox One X. And you go, oh damn. That's something I can understand and I want that.
Yeah, it's easily measurable. You can see like, it takes 3 seconds instead of 13, and so someone watching, they go, wow, that's amazing how we can do that and then produce these graphics. Because I think one thing I've read a lot on Twitter is there's a big argument about teraflops, and every time I see it, it just makes me really laugh because I don't really know much about technology in that sense, so when they talk about teraflops, I'm like completely out of my depth. And then I just see people arguing about it, and then other people above them going, "You guys, I mean, do you even? No one knows. It's really not that big a deal." But it's interesting that people
play on PC,
take
bro.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I that's great. Thanks, guys. I love those answers. It is great to go back to the past as well. When I found the Mario Kart on my Game Boy Advance, it came with a wrestling game. I think it was Road to WrestleMania. I think it was. And I remember playing that when it first came out and thinking, wow, I can be The Rock in handheld. And it was just like the best experience in my young life, which is kind of sad. No. But thanks so much. So I think going on from there, what are you guys playing? Dav, should we start with you again? What have you been playing?
Sure. I mean, let's talk about Animal Crossing, shall we?
I think we have to.
Ooh, that game is good. It's good, and I play it every day because I've got a. But you know what? I played it 36 days now. I think it's come out. Yeah. And I'm getting to the point where now the next expansion on my house is costing me over $1 million bells, and I'm like, yo, Nook, you're testing me here. Yeah. I'm not sure how much I want to build anymore. But like they've just released a new update today. Yeah. Peek behind the curtain. It's currently Thursday, 23rd of April. So I went round. There was a little sloth there called Leaf. Cute.
Leaf. Okay, yeah. I was thinking red. I was thinking I've seen people have red, but I'm like, what? He's not there for me. I don't know how anyone else is getting him.
I don't have red, but Leaf. I bought some shrubs. I planted some shrubs. They're gonna, nice. And he said it's good because they're in season, so they'll bloom straight away. So I'm looking forward to that.
I have a question on Animal Crossing. Have you played any of the ones, the previous titles?
This is the first time.
The hell out of the one on the DS.
Yeah, the one on the DS. What did you say, Johnny?
This is the very first experience I've had with Animal
Crossing.
Okay,
so I want to ask, how do you think it compares? Like, does it feel like a new game? Does it feel like you're treading the same stuff, or like because I played the Wild World, which was the first one on the DS, and that was a long time. That was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I haven't played the new one because my Switch got stolen. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
whole
really
other
interested
podcast.
to see. I'm really interested to hear about how it's changed and like what they're doing with it.
Yeah, okay. So, like, obviously, I didn't play the 3DS one or the one on Wii, City Folk, or any of that Happy House
Oh,
designer
you played
rubbish.
Wild World as well.
Yeah, so the one on the actual DS.
Oh, cool.
So a lot, it feels much improved. A lot of quality of life things. There are still things like you've got to wait a day for this to happen, but like, I mean, in current climate where like we're not even in the same room, so
Perfect
like
timing.
that is. Yeah, go on. I'll see you tomorrow, Tom. Mr.
Yeah.
Milk. And you can turn my camp into a house in overnight, which is impressive. But there's a lot of things like resource management and just loads of little like hard to explain improvements, like how to. I think it's been so long. I don't know what's improved and what's not, but there's a lot of streamlining. But there's a lot that hasn't been streamlined and needs to be. Like getting people to visit your island and visiting their island.
Yeah, it's a pain.
And if you press the wrong button, then you've got to go through all the different talking.
That is one thing I think I've seen a lot of complaints about. Those two in particular, just getting people to come to your island is so. I mean, I went to Rosie's Island this morning, and it takes 2-3 minutes of just her just waiting if I'm coming to her or she's coming to me. 3 minutes, and if you're speaking to someone, you've got to stop speaking, and it's so frustrating because she was trying to buy something and I was like, I'm trying to come over so I can sell my turnips. Like, hurry up, what's going on here? So
that turnip market.
The turnip market is
Stalk exchange. I tell you what, that stalk exchange. That's something else.
Well, I was terrified yesterday because my shop was being upgraded. So I couldn't go in my shop, and I was like, what am I doing with all these turnips? They're just lying on the floor. So yeah, I was very happy when Rosie had a good. I think hers was 160 bells today. So I was
nice.
Right on that.
I'm totally just picturing you having like a panic attack,
just running
like a fully grown man sat with his Switch, just like, I can't. I need to turn this off. It's too much.
I mean, close. So I've just bought my second bridge. And I've just gotten upstairs on my house, so I've only got about 50,000 bells at the moment ready for this Sunday, but I've got to make sure I get up and get in before noon because they only sell turnips, right? So Zach, turnips, right? Because I don't remember the turnips being in the DS game.
The only fruit or veg I think I had was oranges, maybe, or
right?
apples
So
or something.
Completely separate to having like trees and what fruits on your trees and all the rest of it. Turnips. There's someone, Johnny. Do you remember the name?
Oh no, I don't. I know the lady. She walks around. I can't remember her name. She's
like a little pig with like a
little
droopy
pig,
nose.
yeah, with a droopy nose. Yeah, I can't remember her name.
Anyway, she comes around only on Sunday mornings, and she leaves at noon. And she's like, "Yo, buy some turnips," and she has a different price each week for like it's like a stock exchange. So she goes, "Oh, this week turnips are selling at 87 bells a turnip. How many are you gonna buy?" I go, "Here's 50 grand. Give me all your turnips." And then every morning and every afternoon, you can go to the shop and they'll offer you a different price of turnips.
Oh,
so
it's
like
kind of like a drug market, like it's.
So yeah, if you're really on it, you go in the morning, see what the price is. You go, okay, I'm not liking that. I'm gonna wait, check the afternoon, but you can't sell them on Sundays. And if you wait until the next Sunday, the turnips go rotten.
Yeah,
and you can't sell them.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So you've got until Saturday, 10 p.m. to sell your turnips.
Daisy May.
Now I understand the pressure. Like I was laughing because I was
Daisy
just picturing
May.
you.
That's her name. But yeah, no,
I get it now. I can see the pressure involved. Yeah.
And if you're not getting a price you're happy with, and it's getting closer to Saturday, you're like, what if Saturday night they're like, 10 bells a turnip? You're like,
yeah. Oh well,
you can sell them in other people's shops. So what Johnny was doing, he went to Rosie's because Rosie's shop had a better price for turnips. So he's taking his turnips over to Rosie's island and he's selling them there.
I get it.
The thing is,
that actually makes sense. Now I can totally empathize. It just sounded really funny, like this, because I picture Animal Crossing.
Nothing funny about it.
Well, and the thing
when I
is,
played Wild World, there was no stress. It was just like dig, whatever, catch a bug. It's all good. I get it. I appreciate the difference.
I I spent 150,000 bells on turnips, and I was getting. I mean, it's Friday tomorrow, right? Yes, Thursday today. I have to remember then.
Is it?
Yeah. And I genuinely had to. I was like, oh, I've got 2 days left, and my turnips are selling for like 60 bells, and I bought them for 96. It's a big loss of investment there. So that's why I was kind of like, Rosie, come on, get your doors open.
Sometimes you can sell them for like 500.
Yes, I've seen that
every now and then. So like, I'm like, right, how many? Oh, mate, Tarantula Islands as well. Zach, I'm sure you've heard about Tarantula Islands at the moment. It's all the rage in Animal Crossing. Right, basically, tarantulas sell for 8,000 bells a pop, and that's only if you sell into the shop. There's also a guy, a little red lizard guy, whose name is Flick. Yes. And he'll buy them for 1.5 times the value, any insect. So what you do is you earn, right. Okay, so one of the main things they've added is kind of achievements. There are like achievements you can get in Animal Crossing now. You get Nook Miles. And then you can redeem these Nook Miles for lots of different things, furniture, DIY things, all the rest of it. Also, Nook Miles vouchers. Pay 2,000 Nook Miles to get a Nook Miles voucher, and you can use this to go to a random island that is uninhabited, like a little island, and then you can farm this island for all its resources and then head on home and sell whatever. Or like some islands will have different fruit, so like any other fruit that isn't native to your island will sell for 5 times the price, etc., etc., etc. Now, what you can do, there is one which I had the other night, Tarantula Island, but you can also make your own Tarantula Island. Basically, if you don't get the Tarantula Island, which only spawns tarantulas, and it's like got a river around the edge, you just hop on. What you need to do to create your own one is you need to pull every weed, pluck every flower, chop down and remove every tree, take all the fruit, everything off the island, destroy all the rocks, and then take all that, bump it on the beach, get out of the way, and then I think it's like you get 3 or 4 insects at a time that spawn. If it's not a tarantula, you've got to chase it away so it'll run away. You usually get wharf roaches, which are on the big rocks on the corner of the island.
Yeah.
Or what's the insect? The one that jumps. It's like worth 1,000 bells. Anyway, you got to like keep chasing these away. Eventually, tarantulas start spawning, and you spend like an hour trying to catch all these tarantulas. Yeah. So, and you want to like fill up your whole inventory. Bring back, you sell them, and you end up with like 400,000 bells ish, give or take. Which is like enough for like most of the early house expansions, and like you can get like a bridge and a half.
This is
for that.
a very different game from what I'm picturing. When people are talking about Animal Crossing, I'm just kind of picturing like a Wild World, which was just like, honestly, Wild World was just like you can go fishing, you can catch bugs, you can dig. I guess I think the only expansions you could do on your house, right? Like I don't think you could really.
Yeah.
So I'm just picturing like that. I did not realize the economy involved with this. This is crazy.
And it's one of those things where you can interact with it all as much or as little as you want to. And some people are getting mental, and I'm not about that. I'm like, let's just chill. I'll slowly make some progress. Yeah. I've got other games to play, you know. Whereas I know some people, Johnny, who have put over 100 hours into it in their first month.
Yep.
I've only put half of that, so I don't feel as bad. But at least 3 hours a day from Mr. Jonathan Radford there.
Yeah. What can I say? I'm obsessed. I know. Genuinely, for the first week or maybe the first 2 weeks, because it was the first thing that came out. I've been looking forward to Animal Crossing since the Direct, when it was announced, and because I'd never played one before, and I heard so many good things about it. From you,
Switch
actually,
is
Zach.
The perfect console.
Man, it is so perfect. Ooh. I mean, actually, I probably spend more time playing it handheld than I do on the TV, and I don't need to be anywhere. So it's kind of weird that I could just pop it on the TV. But it's such a nice, intimate little game that it's great to play handheld.
It's definitely a game that benefits from the handheld thing. I mean, like, I don't know how it works now, but certainly Wild World was always like, you get punished if you don't play it. Like, if you don't come back for a few days, your house gets cockroaches, and like everyone's mean to you, and they're like upset at you or whatever, and like, they don't like it when you don't play. Like, that's the whole thing. Yeah. So I remember it really benefiting from being handheld, because I could just be like, for me actually, when I had my Switch and I was going to and from work, basically the only game time I had was on the tube. Like I had like an hour's commute, and I was playing Hollow Knight at the time. But so it was just something I could just, and it's one of those games. It's a really good one for just being able to hop into, rather than I mean, like for instance, if you're playing, I've been playing Shadow of the Colossus, where you really want to like have a sit down and play. Yeah, you want to like actually get into it. So that doesn't matter quite so much that I'm having to sit and be in my living room or whatever.
But actually, one thing I should say then is because you probably move on to Zach. Actually, and you mentioned Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
Like, tell us.
Yeah,
tell us
so
how you found that.
That's what I've been playing at the moment. So obviously that's the remake. They put it out as one of those PS4 like monthly games, whatever. It's a game I've always really liked the look of. Like, just it looks so beautiful, and like obviously they did the remake, which makes it really crisp and really nice. And actually, like that update in terms of the graphics does really help. It's one of those things where it's like, I think if you played it at the time, you wouldn't notice certain things. It's a bit like the difference. Like I played Wind Waker on the original, and then I played the remake, and I was like, oh, it just looks the same. And then I went back and played the original, and I was like, no, it doesn't. The original looks awful because it's from 2002.
My first experience and only experience, because I don't have a PS4, I know. I was at Paris Games Week in 2017, and I managed to sneak my way into the Sony VIP party because I was not on the list. And
nice.
Got in there, and they had just Shadow of the Colossus was just sitting there with no one playing
cool.
it. I was like, okay, let's give this a go.
Yeah.
And I've never been so impressed by grass.
Yeah, right.
Just the
like
grass, just so good.
They do a lot of things like that where it's like, yeah, of course it looks good. It's a current gen console game. Like, yeah, all right. There are a lot of things that it does that other games don't really have the chance to do as well, because other games are not trying to do. It definitely is trying to have a sense of scope. It's trying to make you feel small and the world feel really big, which is part of what I love about it, but it's also part of what I hate about it. I've had a really mixed experience of the game. Like, I think it's stunning. It's such a beautiful game to look at. I think it's a really good backseat game. And like all the stuff where you're climbing on these monsters and stuff, like the way they move and the way the camera works really makes you feel like you're on something that you're gonna fall off of, and it's kind of like having a vertigo dream, like one of those dreams where you're just falling. It's so awesome in that way. But on the other hand, it also, because it's a game from 2004, is that right? Like something around that time originally?
Yeah, it's around then.
Around that.
The gameplay is a little bit slower than what you're kind of expecting from a current gen game. If you were making that game from the ground up now, you would streamline things, you would change things. It would just be different, is all. And so while I've really loved all that feeling, I've also kind of like I'm on the last boss now, and I keep falling off, and I don't really know exactly how I'm probably just being an idiot as well. Like, there's going to be anyone who listens to this is going to be like, oh, come on, anyone can beat this game. It's not a hard game, but it just kind of got to the point where I'm just like, jank. It's a bit jank sometimes. Like certain things, like there's something I'm trying to like holding on to one bit, and I'm supposed to jump backwards and then grab onto something else, and it's not very intuitive in a lot of ways, and that means that you'll fall off and you'll have to start over, and that's frustrating. So I'm kind of like, I was trying to finish it last night so that I could talk more thoroughly about it, but like that's a little bit annoying. On the other hand, like I say, all that good stuff about the way it looks and feels and stuff, it also has a really nice thematic feel. Yeah. It really feels like this, there's basically no words spoken, there's kind of sort of is, but not really. The characters are very like universal. You feel what they want you to feel. They want you to feel like, oh, I want to save this person who's obviously this, and you feel very in touch with the characters without them having to have these long dialogue scenes and these long whatever.
Do you know how it ends? No spoilers, of course.
I do know how it ends, sadly, which I'm a bit disappointed about, because like there's like two big spoilers. I'm not going to say anything. Two big spoilers in it that I did know already, and I'm sad because I think they would have been really even the first big spoiler is like, even though I knew it was coming, it's still, I felt very, even when it was happening, and I knew it was coming, and I was like still really invested, and it still felt like a really great moment, so yeah, it has been a really great game, but I've also found it frustrating. That's kind of been my overall experience. I definitely think everyone should play it, or at least see it being played.
Yeah.
Because it does something that other games are not doing. There's no games like it, in my opinion. Maybe Breath of the Wild has taken some from it, and there's definitely other games that have taken stuff from it, but I don't think there's anyone who's coming up with that original concept. It feels like its own game. It feels like its own IP. It's sort of incomparable in a lot of ways.
Games like Breath of the Wild and Red Dead 2, I think, do take a kind of Shadow of the Colossus approach, whereas like the difference is that you go anywhere and you'll find something to do.
Yes.
With Red Dead, it was like narrative driven. So like you're walking down the street or like on your horse, and suddenly some guy will approach you, and that's like a 5-hour side story then. Whereas like Breath of the Wild is like you see a ring of stones, and you see a boulder to your left, and you go, I reckon I can throw that boulder into that ring of stones.
Yeah.
And you do it, and then a little thing comes up, and you get a seed, and you go, oh, I didn't even know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm being rewarded for my exploration.
Yeah.
Finally, it's taken all of my life.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like we could do an entire podcast on how incredible Breath of the Wild is. I know we've all put so many hours into that game. I mean, Zach, your hour time for that was like 200, was it? 250?
Like closer to like 300.
Yeah.
And I didn't even remotely beat it. Like, I know for a fact I think you have all of the heart pieces.
I did. I got them all.
And you probably have more seeds than I do. I don't know what the hell I spent most of my time doing. I must have just... I think it's one of those things... Actually, one of the things I wanted to say about Shadow of the Colossus, which I think it fails it a little bit, is for such a big game, it's not all that fun to travel, to get around.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you think of like Marvel Spider-Man...
Yeah.
That's like one of the big things that everyone loves about that is just the scope of getting around is fun. Like, of course that's fun. Everyone would want to do that. Breath of the Wild does it in a different way. It has, the paraglider, and it has horses, and it has all these varied ways of making it interesting to get around. And I think that's what I was enjoying about Breath of the Wild most, was just looking around, just exploring, as you say, and like, maybe I'll find a seed, maybe I'll get a heart piece. Probably not, because I'm an idiot and I just want to walk around.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus doesn't do that so well. I mean, it does make it look very pretty when you're riding around and stuff, but the actual act of riding around in 2020 now feels like, oh, can we just get there already?
Yeah,
it's so far.
Yeah.
The one thing,
obviously, the emptiness is kind of the point, I guess.
Exactly, and that's why I feel bad even saying that, because it's like, I get that's why I'm doing this. It's just that I don't have the attention span. Again, I'm an idiot. I need like.
I don't think anyone does these days. Like, we've all got our phone in our hand. We're watching this. We're playing this. Listening to this.
I think it's interesting because I haven't played Shadow of the Colossus either, but I have read about it and I've seen a lot of people comment about it, and that tends to come up quite a lot. That the world is beautiful and lush, but it's very empty a lot of the time, and it's beautiful to look at. But then once you've got past that, it's like, okay. What am I doing here?
Exactly. I mean, it is so stunning, and I totally appreciate that is the point. Like, that's what they were going for, and that's why I say it just would have been designed differently if it had been made from the ground up in 2017 or whenever it was that they made it. And I don't want it to change. I'm definitely not saying anyone can change it. It's a great game. Yeah. It's just of its time. You know, it's of its time, and that's true of a lot of games. I find that's true of a lot of games nowadays. I don't feel like I enjoy recommending some of my favorite games, because I'm like, to be honest, those games are of their time. Even the great. If you talk about like Ocarina of Time, everyone always says Ocarina of Time's the best game ever, and I get why. I love that game, but I don't think I could tell a kid now go play Ocarina of Time, because they're gonna get bored. Like, it's just not. A lot of people, it's not designed now.
A lot of people think Twilight Princess is essentially Ocarina of Time modernized, but then even Twilight Princess is very of its time. I mean, that's 13 years old. So going back even further, talking about Zelda, I actually played A Link to the Past for the first time last year, and it was a great experience. But then at the same time, it would never have the same impact that it would have had on me 20 years ago, 25 years ago, because games have moved on. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still held up, and I still had a whale of a time playing it. But after playing Breath of the Wild and Link's Awakening in that time period, the remake,
The logic has changed as well. There's just certain stuff where if you're playing Link to the Past, you go like there's an item in Link to the Past that you need to beat the game, but no one ever tells you to go and get it. It's just in a cave. It's really annoying. You would never design it that way now because if it was me now and I was playing it for the first time, I'd be so annoyed if I was trying to fight this boss and losing all the time but not knowing why.
That happened to me.
When I was
That happened to me in one of the dungeons.
Yeah.
It happened to me in one of the dungeons. I was like, why can't I beat this boss? And I looked it up. I was like, because you need the ice rod. And I was like, oh, I don't have
that's
that.
Exactly that's exactly
I was like,
the
I
item
don't
I'm
have
talking
it, so I can't do anything.
We
but
just
at the
don't
time,
have
I
the
was
patience to get somewhere, and
exactly,
and we have not already got to the bit that we needed to get to.
Yeah,
like not to be funneled down, but like I was playing through Breath of Fire, the RPG on the SNES emulator on the Switch, and I got about 11 and a half hours in or 12 hours in, and I'm still enjoying it. But there was like one point I was like, oh, I really didn't want to look at a guide, but I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
And I found out that so on the world map there's like mountains and trees and stuff, and to get through trees you need to make sure that one of the party members that you've got is at the front of your party, and then you can walk through trees on the map. And it's like there's one NPC who is like, oh, you know Bo, he'll get you through the forest all right. And it's like, just tell me that Bo needs to be at the front of my party.
Yeah.
Don't be like, as long as Bo's in your party, you'll be fine going through forest.
Yeah.
It's like, he's in my party, it's not working. You didn't quite word that right.
Well, when these games were out, we wouldn't have bat an eyelid. We would have just gone,
we'd have just spent
my mistake.
We would have spent like 2 hours trying to figure out what that meant. Whereas, but you know what I mean? Like, we would just be there for so long, just going, how does this work? Like, how do I get through? Whereas now it's, I mean, to be fair, I do think it's because a lot of that generation are, well, our age now, and a lot of people are working. We can't spend as much time on video games as we used to. I think there is an element of that.
Yeah.
And there's so many good video games that it's frustrating when you have to spend more time on a bit of the game that you're not enjoying. It's just a wall that you need to get past. And it's like, I don't want to spend this next 2 hours figuring out how to get through this tree. Yeah. I want to get through the tree, get to the next bit and explore that so I can move on to the next game that I want to play.
Yeah,
it's odd, isn't it? Like, even if you're loving a game, you're still kind of half wishing you've finished it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird way to think of it.
The other thing is you also don't want to like immediately go like, oh, I'll just go and check online. They'll tell me.
Yeah, it does feel
it's like,
confusing.
I don't feel like I should. It's like I don't want. I'll probably nowadays I'll do that with an old game because I'm expecting there to be some nonsense that I'm not going to be able to figure out.
Yeah.
With a new game, if I need a walkthrough, I'm kind of going, either I'm an idiot or this game's designed in a way that's not super helpful. But I don't think it happens so much with modern games. I mean, you're talking about a game like, as you say, like it's a JRPG from
the 80s,
20, 25 years. Yeah, exactly. We're talking about time ago, so sort of fair enough. But I don't want to. I'm not going to do that with. I'm not even really going to do that with Shadow of the Colossus. I'm not even going to go like, I don't know how to beat this boss. Like, I just don't want to spoil it for myself. I want to be able to enjoy it.
It's interesting you say that though, about RPGs in particular, because the one series that will lead me on to the game I've been playing as well, my brother and me used to buy the strategy guides to all the time, was Final Fantasy, and especially the older games. So we used to, every single one that came out, there would always be a point in Final Fantasy where you'd be like, how do I beat this boss? Because I'm getting whooped here. Like, how am I supposed to do this? And especially when those games first came out, I would have been about 8, 9, 10 years old. Sometimes you need them because the internet wasn't there and you needed it. But yeah, actually, carrying on from that, I have been playing the Final Fantasy VII remake, which I'm not going to get into spoilers, obviously, because I know you guys haven't played it. But I honestly, I loved it. There were many things that I didn't love. Again, I'm not going to get too much into what happens story-wise because I don't want to, I don't want to get into that for one. I like what they did with the story because obviously there are some ways that it's not a traditional remake in that sense, but it's the little things that kind of let it down. Graphically, it does this really weird thing where Cloud looks incredible, and then he'll talk to an NPC, and they honestly look like they were designed in like a day, and they're still in the game. Honestly, there are some clips of characters which you just like, what were they doing? And I don't want that to ruin the experience, because overall I adored it. The music is incredible. The music was incredible anyway, but it's so good. I bought the edition where you get the soundtrack as well, and I've just sat there for so long just listening to the music. It is probably for me the best thing they did. Graphically, it hits home so many times. You look at it and go, wow, this is incredible. But it's just a few things here and there, and I think because I did you guys play Final Fantasy VII as kids or as adults?
When they first announced the remake, I did get into Final Fantasy VII, and I think I played 5 hours or so.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, back in the day, 9 was my game.
9's amazing.
Loved Final Fantasy 9.
Yeah, 9's amazing.
I think just the aesthetic of 7, of Midgar, and I've heard that Midgar is like the best of it. I'm not wholly enjoying Midgar, so I'm a bit concerned how I'm going to feel about the rest of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Don't play the remake, because that's all it is. It's just Midgar.
Yeah, of course.
And
I am tempted though. I mean, I don't have a PS4, but I know it's only a timed exclusive.
Yeah, timed exclusive. It'll be out next year.
So,
I imagine it'll be out next year. It's
on the Series X and the PS5. So.
Exactly. Give a shout out to those. But I think graphically and musically, it really hits home most of the time. Musically, all the time, but graphically, most of the time. And there's some things as well where Cloud cross-dresses at one point, and it's amazing. They've done such an incredible job with that.
That's interesting. So I knew that happened in the first game.
Yeah,
but I've heard that it's a bit. Maybe it didn't age very well, that section.
Yeah, it didn't. I think as for most video games, I don't think it was mocking like cross-dressing, but it was kind of like, oh look, he's dressed like a girl. Whereas now the way they've done it is like RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's fun, and it's honestly Rosie was like clapping along, saying, oh, this is great, this is amazing. She really enjoyed watching it. And those bits are amazing. The issues I do have mostly with the game is the padding, because Dav, like you said, Midgar 5 hours. It only takes about maybe 5 to 10 hours to get out of Midgar. Midgar's maybe 1/5 of the original game, whereas they've stretched it out to a 35-hour long game. And because I know the original so well, there are certain points where they've extended it, and I'm going, oh, this feels like padding, and that's fine, especially for people that didn't play the original. They wouldn't really notice that, and I still don't mind it so much. But there were times when it was just they didn't need to do certain things. Like there would just be stuff like there's a crane that you've got to get on, and Aerith has got to get on the crane, and then you've got to control it and move it, and then you've got to lower it down, then she's got to get off, and then you've got to move it back, and it's like it didn't add anything other than frustration. And
sure,
that was the only. That happens a few times throughout the game. There are a few moments where I go, I kind of want to get past this. The story needs to carry on, because what is happening is so huge, and I don't feel like the story is catching up with it.
Are you disappointed by it?
No. It seems interesting, because I've just spent the last like 2, 3, 4 minutes complaining about a lot of things, but it's what it does well. It does incredibly well. What it does badly, it's kind of more of a disappointment than an anger. And because I do love Final Fantasy VII so much, that I my favorite ones are 7, 9, and 10. I actually replayed all of them on tour last year, and it was the best thing in the world. Just being on a tour bus for hours upon end, just completing a Final Fantasy game. But I think overall I loved it. I did love it, and I will look back on it fondly. But I still think whenever it comes back to replaying it, because I will replay it, I'll still be like, kind of, this section needs to move along quicker than it is. That's how I felt anyway.
I think that's a typical thing with like the JRPG thing is like I don't think that they have survived, that genre has survived very well with this changing culture we're talking about. I think it does take time. I mean, that's sort of the nature of grinding and stuff. But it seems like, because I haven't played either, but it seems like if they're trying to extend the playtime, which again is sort of a marketing tool, they're trying to say, look, it's 35 hours. Like, that means it's better. Then they've sort of shot themselves in the foot and gone in the opposite direction of what they actually need to do. Which is what they need to do is go, we've ticked it along. I mean, for instance, another JRPG that got a remake recently, Pokemon Let's Go, right? Like that. And they did the opposite. They made it really quick. They made it really easy. Now, obviously, it was not for hardcore fans. Like, Pokemon fans were not thrilled about that because it was too easy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It catered to a different market. Obviously, again, they have a different market because they have these cute monster designs for kids, right? So in a way that was kind of the right way to go. But in a way, I feel like if someone, if I was running a game development company and they said, or if I was a game developer and someone said, look, I want you to remake Final Fantasy VII when did it come out? 2018? I'd be like, absolutely no way am I gonna do that. It sounds awful. Like, that's the most stressful thing I could put. Because what do you do? How do you fix it? How do you make it work with modern culture? How do you make it accessible? But also, it's just you're given the impossible task. I'm actually impressed to hear that you mostly feel that it was a good thing. I think a remake like that is very, very ambitious.
Well, some of the things they've done are, like, the combat system is really good. There's the stagger. Did you guys play Final Fantasy 13 by any chance?
Yeah,
I actually did play. Final
so there was I can't remember playing it for long. I think I only played it for 5 hours. I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy that, but that was 7 years ago, and tastes change. The stagger mechanic they use in Final Fantasy 7, the combat system in itself, it's really good and it's really fun, and they fleshed out a lot of characters as well, and they're more 3-dimensional, and that's also great. I love that. It's honestly just, I think they could have cut about 5 hours worth of content out, and I would be like, that is, they've done an amazing job. I just think there were too many moments where I was almost like, oh, I just want to get past this. Come on, just that. I think that's what it was. But yeah, thanks guys. I loved hearing what you guys have been playing. Now, obviously, we've got all the time in the world to play more games, and I imagine next week we'll have some great ones as well. So I actually want to come to our last question. This is something.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one because. So today I did a lot of reading. We will only talk about the news very quickly. Animal Crossing digitally sold apparently 5 million units in March, which is the highest grossing digital game of all time, apparently. They're still waiting for the figures to come out by Nintendo, but considering it came out in March 18th, so it was over halfway through the month, I mean, that is incredible. But my point was, and I was going to ask you guys, do you think that's firstly elevated Animal Crossing to the same tier as Mario, Zelda, or do you think it's up there now? I mean, by way of sales, it's probably going to be the Switch's best-selling game within the next 6 months, which is unbelievable when you think the Switch has been out for 3 years. Animal Crossing has been out for 1 month, and it's already sold potentially up to 10 million copies, digitally and physically. Do you think that the current situation has anything to do with that as well? Do you think that people are buying it because they've got time to play, or do you think that if this game had come out in December, it would have sold as well? So that's my question to you guys.
So I know 2 people that have bought a Switch and Animal Crossing, and those people... One of them hasn't played a game since the original DS.
Yep.
And the other one, I'm not sure if they've ever played video games.
Wow.
So I think as far as, like, is our current lockdown situation a benefit for Nintendo? As far as Animal Crossing sales, yes, of course it is.
Yep.
But I don't think it's a great game. It is also a very good game, and they didn't see. It doesn't feel like they took any shortcuts. they took as long as they felt they wanted to make sure this game was as good as it could be.
Yeah.
And that they had a good, solid plan for how they're going to implement content throughout sort of at least the first year. They must have a plan for the first year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, like, I'm enjoying it enough that I'm going back every day.
Yeah,
even if I am sort of throwing on a podcast or throwing on, like, a YouTube channel, or like to like do things at the same time. But, it's an enjoyable thing to dig up fossils, take them to Blathers, who talks on for too much,
he does.
and see if it's a new fossil or not. And either way, I'm happy, because if it's not, I can sell it and, get bells, and it all works together. I think it's a great game in a lot of ways. It's mad how well it's sold.
It's insane when you think about 10 million copies in 1 month. That is...
You've got to chalk it down, some of it down to the lockdown, but also Animal Crossing games have always sold really well. And I think you can tell from, like, the sheer amount of, like, amiibo and the amiibo cards, like, how many of that Animal Crossing stuff, like, there's so many of them. And, like, you've got Animal Crossing in Smash Bros.
You do.
You've got Animal Crossing in Mario Kart. Like, they clearly feel that it is right up there, because in Mario Kart, you've got the Mario franchise, obviously Donkey Kong, but that's all kind of one. Then you've got Link, and then you've got Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other Nintendo franchise in there. Oh, it's
Pokemon.
Splatoon.
But Pokemon's
not in Mario Kart though.
Oh, sorry, in Mario Kart. Sorry, I thought.
Did I say Smash?
I thought you meant with regards to, like, their top tier, like,
right.
up there sort of games now. Do you think Animal Crossing is up there now? I mean,
I think even if it's not, I think Nintendo thinks it is. I think Nintendo see Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Mario, Zelda,
and Mario Kart.
I think
as a franchise, as a franchise,
in the Mario, and Smash, of course. I think,
of course.
And I think they're right to. Clearly, the figures, they've sold enough.
It's
and it's driving Switch sales if you can actually get one.
Do you know, people are putting together their own Switches. They're buying individual parts from different sellers and putting it together.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
like a Joy-Con from here, Joy-Con from
there. They're spending. People are spending upwards of $1,000. I've seen online for a Switch, and it's just
wow.
I mean, it is crazy when you consider where Nintendo were with the Wii U to where they are now. I mean, one thing I was gonna say is the Nintendo Switch console sold more consoles in this March 2020, than when it originally released in March 2017.
Wow.
2017.
So, I mean,
and they've got a lot of Mario games coming up this year as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
In theory.
In theory, but
anniversary.
I'm desperate. We need to talk about that. I spent a good while talking about that because, I mean, Mario 64. I mentioned it today. I mean, can you imagine if that's remade? That would be. I mean,
I can imagine amazing. That, and it's a good imagination to have.
But how about you, Zach? What did you think?
Sorry, I was going to ask: is Mario 64 on the Switch? Like, can you play like the original version,
not the OG game? No. You can only get NES and SNES games.
Yeah,
you can only get a certain amount of those.
Because I was going to say that's probably quite a good sign. If it's not on the emulator, there's a good chance they're talking about remaking it.
Well,
there is a very strong rumor, which is basically proving
I haven't heard this at all.
That there is. They're doing a few things. They're bringing Super Mario World U. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
The one that isn't already on there.
Yeah, Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U.
Yeah.
They're bringing that, and also they're bringing. It sounds like it's going to be a package deal, which makes me think they're not going to do that much work on them, because Nintendo love to separate them all their games out and charge as much as they can. But it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 64.
Yes.
Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh, yes.
And the first Super Mario Galaxy game. All as a trio.
I mean, why not Galaxy
Sunshine.
2?
I think because if they added Galaxy 2, it would be too much work for the amount of how much the game's going to cost.
Yeah, fair enough. And it is the most recent, if you take away 3D World as well, it's the most recent 3D Mario, so maybe...
If they added Galaxy 2, it would make me think they were going to release them separately, and maybe Galaxy 1 and 2 as a package.
Yeah.
But the fact they haven't makes me feel like it's going to be, let's tighten up the graphics a little bit, and just pop them together and send
Throw
them
a
out.
bunch of bloom at it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Exactly. Which isn't a problem because I mean they shouldn't touch the controls for 64.
No.
Or for Sunshine really, or for Galaxy.
Do you think so?
I think Sunshine needs to be tweaked. That does need to be tweaked. I replayed it recently, and I think playing something like Odyssey. I mean, Super Mario 64 can just have Odyssey and just transfer it over and just have the levels and it's done. I think with Sunshine, because I don't know, it didn't feel anywhere near as
Got
smooth.
the extra mechanics. I
Yeah,
guess.
that is the thing with the extra mechanics.
You know what?
only thing
I
is
guess
that-
if they go on.
No, you go. I'll come back.
I was gonna if they're gonna use the Odyssey engine, they could easily recreate 64
Yes,
So easily, yeah.
in that. Like everyone, like they built a 64.
they did. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, they
innit?
did. That was amazing as well.
So good. But like so. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't completed that game. That's
that
your own
game's
fault.
like, yeah, come on. That
Yeah,
game's
it's
old now.
well,
That's three
yeah,
years old now.
Yeah, 3 years. Guys, it's 3 years.
Well, yeah, because they came out the same year as
yeah.
Breath of the Wild,
Jeez,
which is
man.
insane. Well, it's 2.5 years, but yeah. So
I
guess
played
if
your
they've
copy,
got the
Johnny.
engine. I guess if they've got the engine, then they could do a little cheeky
Nothing
remake.
stopping
But
it,
then why wouldn't they charge full price
Yeah,
for just that?
I
They
think
would make so much.
I think the one thing as well is as good as Mario 64 is, and I do plug it in every now and then. It's surprisingly short, especially when you know where everything is, because there's only six stars plus the coins on each level. I think if you know the game inside out, it doesn't take long to complete the game. So I think, but I didn't they
I mean, you could
released
say
it on
that
the
about
DS.
anything,
They added.
really.
That is true. That is true. I think didn't they add more stars in with the 2D DS remake
The DS remake had like
and
a lot
characters
of
as well? Yeah.
changes and stuff. Yeah, so I don't know if I'd really say they did very much extra. There was a couple of like keyboards or whatever, but I don't remember very well. But yeah, there was some small additions. But then I think there was some stuff that was taken out as well. So it was sort of a bit of a mixed bag. It was quite a good remake, and they did adjust a lot of the controls with regards to like, 'cause obviously like wall jumping and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like a little bit fiddly on the 64. You didn't have a control stick though, actually, now that I think about it, so I don't really know how that worked.
Oh yeah.
I remember really enjoying the remake though. I remember thinking it was pretty fun.
I think you used. Oh no, did it have a pad? Did you use the pad?
You could use the touchscreen.
I think that's
if
what
you
it
wanted
was.
to, but I don't think I ever did because I really hated that control
Yeah,
scheme.
I mean I love the
I
DS,
found that really annoying.
but
Yeah, me too.
yeah,
Me too. I just never really
think
liked
it was
that
a great
control
system.
scheme.
But gents, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much if you have been listening today. We are Video Games Ahoy, and hopefully we'll see you very soon. Thank you very much, gents, and speak to you soon.
Ahoy.
Ahoy!